So our theme for this month, which we finish up today, has been the theme of turning point moments which lead us to tipping point experiences. So turning point moments are those moments where we make a different decision, where we choose to turn the direction of our ship, to turn the direction we've been heading, the decision to think a different thought, the decision to say something different, a decision to connect more deeply with the God of our being, the decision to whatever, the decision to make a shift. That's a turning point moment. And it is a series of turning point moments that lead us to a tipping point, which will be different than the tipping point we were heading on. So a tipping point is simply that when we have enough accumulated consciousness, if you will, enough accumulated way of being, that our life will tip in a certain direction. And sometimes that is an unconscious tipping because we have been unconscious and it tips in a direction we do not like. Has anybody ever tipped over in a direction that you'd like, how did I get there? Right? It's how did I get there? But if you look back, you've made decisions all along that actually got you there. This is an individual thing. This happens in humanity. It's happening ecologically. It happens economically. There's this tipping point idea. Our month has been to explore having turning point decisions that will cause us to tip in a different direction. In a direction that is based on our hopes and our dreams and our desires, all those things that are planted there by the divine in us, that are yearning, wanting to be expressed through and as us. So we've had fun. I hope I've had fun. I hope you have had fun with not only exploring these ideas, but actually experimenting with them and using our beautiful science, basic science of mind teachings, because this is January in Science of Mind Churches is the month of getting back to basics. So we've taken 5 what we call turning point views, but they're 5 basic fundamental beliefs that we have in our Science of Mind teaching, and said that if we could truly embody these 5 beliefs, truly embody them, these 5 ways of viewing life, that we would absolutely have turning point moments every time we embodied that belief and therefore create a different tipping point. So this is the review portion of our time together and the congregant participation part of our time together. And who can give me one of the 5 turning point views that we've explored this last month? Just give me one. I'm just looking for one. I'm not a victim. I like that, yes. So we flipped it to say, yes, we're not a victim, and we are creative beings, and that we create through our thoughts and our feelings and the energetic vibration that we bring to life. We are this because we are made in the image and likeness of the infinite creator. So yes, good, that's one. I heard somebody start to say, was that you, Tina, back there? No, not you. I am worthy, thank you, Phil. I am worthy simply because of? Good, nice job. I am worthy simply because of who I am. And who am I? A creation of the divine, an emanation of spirit, a walking, talking, living, breathing manifestation of God. That's who you are. And you are worthy just because of that. And there's nothing else that you have to do, say, or be to be worthy. There's some things you have to do to accept that, but there's nothing you have to do to be that. You already are. Okay, there's 2. What's the third one? I love it. And I heard 2, but I'll get that one in a second. The universe is conspiring for our good. Conspiring for our good and always has our back. Always. Always. Even when it doesn't look like it. It's there. Good. And then I heard... Say that again? Yes, we got that one already. I'm an amazing creator. But I heard another one about, something about struggle. Life is not a struggle. In fact, when we do our own work, when we do what we're called to do, then the universal energy just whoosh, sweeps in to create whatever it is, whatever circumstance, condition, opportunity, connection, whatever is needed. The universe sweeps in to create that, and we do not have to struggle to make it happen, to manipulate the world so it, whatever it is, happens. All right, last one. It's the big one. Yes? Very good. That was said perfectly. I cannot add anything to that. Very nicely done, Amy. Good job, all of you. Perfect. So in order for you to have those in front of you, there in the pew pocket in front of you, there's a little sheet that has them written on it that you can take home with you. a sheet suitable for framing. And on one side has the 5 viewpoints. The other side, I just thought I'd give you a little bonus, has the what we believe statements from Ernest Holmes, from our Science of Mind, what we believe. So you have that. You're very welcome. My pleasure. My pleasure. So we have said that if we consistently and on an ongoing, regular basis live from those 5 turning point views, that we will in fact achieve the miraculous in our lives. And that is our focus for today, achieving the miraculous. But I want to let you in on a little tiny secret. Are you ready for a little secret about the miraculous? There's really no such thing. There's really no such thing. A miracle is simply living in alignment with universal truth and principles. When we live in alignment and work in harmony with the natural laws of the universe, natural law of the universe, we will create what seems to be miraculous. And I love this from our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, in his book, Questions and Answers on the Science of Mind. A miracle is merely something we are not accustomed to seeing or experiencing. In reality, there are no miracles. For what seems to be a miracle is but the effect of a supremely natural law. The faith that can bring about the least demonstration can bring about the greatest. So that last line is key. The faith that can bring about the littlest demonstration can also bring about the greatest demonstration. So we have experimented this week with increasing our faith, with building our faith with some little things so that we can see how creative we are, that the universe has our back, that God is all there is, so that we can see these things in a tangible way. And you were charged with doing some experiments, right? We've had experiment assignments for several weeks. You go to church and you get an assignment. Woo-hoo, how fun is that? And I hope you've had fun with the experiments that you were to do. And we'll get to a little bit more on that. But I want to share, before I get into where we want to go today, I want to share with you a result, an experience that I had with one of the experiments. So one of the experiments, which was 2 weeks ago, was to prove how creative you are. And there were 8 things in this experiment that you were going to look for and know that you would find, that you would see them, because you created them with your intention. So there were 8 random things, like a toy from your childhood, a song from your high school days. We just had a little miracle on that this morning, didn't we, Barbara? Thank you, yes, 222, a belly laugh, a senior citizen, a fashionable hat. Yes, there were a billboard that talks just exactly to you. I saw a billboard right away. It just said, so here's the billboard. It talked to me. It said, "It's all about you." That's what it said. That is, I swear, what the billboard said. I swear it. And I went, well, okay, that works for me. No. But that's not the experience I want to tell you about. I want to tell you about my experience with 222. My experience with 222. So this was 2 weeks ago. You were given this assignment to just see the number 222. All right, so you had 3 days to see the number 222, and I am got my eyes out. I'm looking for it. I don't see it day 1. I don't see it day 2. I don't see it day 3. All right, well, I'll keep looking. I don't see it day 4. I don't see it day 5. And a week goes by, and I haven't seen 222. I've seen 22, 222, 221, 220. And one of those, and I won't say which it is because I was told after first service, probably shouldn't say that number out loud, Michelle. So I'll live in this. I live in this world. I want to be prudent in this world. But my security code on the back of my credit card is actually very close. Not, it isn't, but it's close to 222. And I see that all the time, but it's not 222. I was getting what maybe some of you have felt with this experiment, or in your life in other ways, frustrated. Have any of you ever had a desire, a hope, a dream? You've done your prayer work, you've done your work in the world, you've done what you think you need to do, and it just hasn't happened. Have you ever felt frustrated? Yeah. Come on. We all have. We felt and I was feeling frustrated. And then I remembered a quote from Emerson, Ralph Waldo Emerson, who said, "Stand guard at the portals of your mind." Stand guard at the portals of your mind. I do that pretty well, and I realized, sometimes it takes me a little time, but I realized that I'm not standing guard because I am letting the frustration be in my mind. And so I got aware of that, and I became aware of what I know about frustration. Frustration is exactly like you have two magnets that are the same, what is the term? Polarization, yeah. That have the same polarization, and you're bringing them toward each other. What happens when you do that? Boom! They push away. You cannot bring those two together. They push away. That is what frustration does to our dreams, our intentions, our goals. It pushes them away. So I recognize that as I'm getting frustrated that I have not seen 222, I am now pushing it away, and I am not going to see it. So I decided to do what we all have a chance to do in this world. We all get this. It's called a divine do-over. We all get divine do-overs. I wanted to have a divine do-over, and that divine do-over said, I'm starting this experiment again. And I did that on Tuesday evening. I said, I'm doing the experiment again. Wednesday morning, I got up early. I had my personal dream team meeting. We've been talking about dream teams this month, and if you want to create a dream team, which is like a mastermind group or a group to help you manifest your dreams, we have brochures in the fellowship hall, in the bookstore, all over the place to tell you how to create your own dream team if you want to do that. I was at my dream team meeting on Wednesday morning, and I'm heading home from it, and I'm going to go to the gym after that. And my gym is located at 16th Street and Glendale. I'm driving on 51, heading south, and I hear on the radio a traffic report that says there is an accident on Glendale near 16th Street. And I thought to myself, well, that divine intuition kicked in. I'm glad I listened to it. Said, you probably don't want to take the Glendale exit. That might not be a good idea. Why don't you take the northern exit, and hopefully you can avoid whatever traffic there might be. So I never get off at Northern. I always get off at Glendale, but I got off at Northern, went to 16th Street, turned south on 16th Street, and it wasn't a quarter of a mile, not even that far down the road, is a sign that has a phone number on it, and the prefix of the phone number is what? Woohoo! Thank you, universe. That's awesome. And that would have made an awesomely amazing day for me. One of our things is to start every morning with what? Today I have what is it? Thank you. Something amazingly awesome happens to me today. That would have been my amazingly awesome thing if that had been it, but that wasn't it. There's more. There are two things more. The first thing more is that when I got to 16th Street and Glendale, where the accident was, according to the radio, there was no accident. I saw no traffic backup. I saw nothing to indicate an accident there. And so that confirmed for me one of our turning point views, which is the universe has our back and is conspiring for our good. The universe conspired to have that erroneous news report happen for me so I would get off the freeway when I don't normally get off and get my 222. Thank you, universe. Yeah. The PSS to this is later that day, I drove downtown to do a wedding rehearsal of a wedding that I did this weekend. And driving to and from this location, I saw not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but 6 222s. 6. I was ticking them off as I was, there's another one. A total in that day of 7. And spiritually, 7 is the number of completion. Experiment done, Michelle. You've got it. Anchor in the knowing that you're a creative being. Is that cool? I just think I applauded for myself on that one. Yes. And an interesting, really, I guess there's a PSS, that one of the signs that I saw, is on 7th Street. We're on 7th Street here, and Rose Lane, which is, 3 blocks south of here, 1 block south of here, not very far south of here. I don't know how many times I passed that and didn't see it. I didn't have my eyes. It's always been there. It's been there. I didn't see it. Infinite good is here. It is right here. It is right now. Whatever we are looking for, your song was so perfect this morning. And not only did it wake us up, it's right on. It's already here. It's already ours. We just have to open our eyes and be available to it. In the book E Cubed, which we're using as our kind of a foundational book here by Pam Grout, the introduction to that book says there's only one reason you're not aware of the nonstop stream of blessings and miracles, and that's because you're looking in the wrong places. Or I will put in parentheses, you've got your eyes closed. I had my eyes closed. With just a little willingness and awareness, it's amazing what can happen. So if you did not have 100% yet with all the 4 different experiments that we did, that's okay. There are divine do-overs available at any time. You can absolutely do that. For those of you who would say honestly that you had at least 80% accomplishments of the things that you were supposed to do, if you had 80%, you are going to be right now enrolled in a contest to receive a beautiful framed, that sounds like an infomercial, doesn't it? A beautiful framed version, thank you Lonnie for doing this for us, of the 5 turning point truths. So if you think, you get to decide, did you get 80%? And you're going to do divine do-overs with the 20. That didn't quite happen. But if you got 80%, raise your hand, because our ushers are going to come around really quickly here, and I'm going to keep talking as they come around. And they're going to give you a raffle ticket. And then after our offering, you must be present, by the way, to win. After our offering, my treasurer will like this, then we will auction or raffle this off, and one of you will get it. And the rest of you who do not have your hands up, it's all good. It's okay. But I encourage you to continue the experiments until you can say, I've done it all. I have not done it all yet. I have not yet seen a toy from my childhood. That was one of the items. So I am still open for seeing my toy from my childhood. All right. So today I want us to look at, finally, we wrap things up. We're going to look at 3 M&Ms. Now, I'm not talking about the chocolate candy barn, but I am talking about miracle mindsets. And remember, a miracle is not something out of the ordinary or supernatural. It is simply the way life works when we work with the way life works. Did you get that? Miracles are the way life works when we work with the way life works. Somebody write that down. That's good, and I want to remember that. And it just came to me right now, so write it down. All right. And let me just touch it. Is it warm in here, or is it just... Yeah, I thought so. Deb, are you in the room? Bill, are you in the room? Bill, would you please just give us a touch of air conditioning, because I don't want to freeze people out. Just a touch. Thank you. All right, because I want you awake for this. This is good. We're going to look at 3 miracle mindsets, and they are just little tweaks in the way we can look at life, a little different from the way maybe we have or the rest of the world looks at life, that will align us with these turning point views. And they're things we say to ourselves. So there are 3 things we say to ourselves that we could say in a different way, that would align us with universal good and align us with these turning point views. So the first one is, and this phrase is a phrase I actually grew up with. My mother said this phrase all the time. All the time. And I'm going to give you a little, we're going to see if anybody knows this. So it was also a phrase that Walter Cronkite, in his how many years of journalism, how many years was he on television? He ended his news report with this phrase. Does anybody remember what it is? What, Wendy? And that's the way it is. And that's the way it is. Yep, there it is. So no disparaging remark about Walter Cronkite, and when we say that's just the way it is, that was my mother's, there's always a just in there. Well, that's just the way it is. Whatever the situation, condition, well, that's just the way it is. Can't change it. Got to just live with it. You've had a diagnosis. You're having a situation at work. You're having a relationship issue. Oh, well, that's just the way it is. That is going to keep you, guess where that's going to keep you? In the just the way it is. Right. But if we want to expand into miracles, then what if we said instead of, well, that's just the way it is, what if instead we said, what else is possible? What else is possible? I had a lovely conversation after service with one of our congregants about that. And she in the conversation, she even said, well, that is the way it is. Oh, wait a minute. And I watched her shift. Oh, no, wait. That isn't just the way it is. There's something else possible. And there was just a shift in the vibration and the energy of that 2-minute conversation. What if you stood at the guard at the portal of your mind, and when your mind wants to say about something, well, that's just the way it is. That's just what the doctors have said. That's what the economy says. That's what my spouse has said is true. Well, maybe not. What else is possible? A powerful, powerful question. Ernest Holmes writes in the Science textbook, because we fail to realize that principle is not bound by precedent, we limit our faith to that which has already been accomplished, and few miracles result. When faith finds its proper place under divine law, there are no limitations, and what are called miraculous results must follow. So the phrase is, what else is possible? I want to hear it. What else is possible? I want you to think right now. You don't have to say what it is, but I just want you to think. If you have a situation in your life that you have kind of thought like, well, this is just it. This is my financial situation. This is my health situation. That's just the way it is. I want you to just think about that right now, whatever it might be, and say to it out loud again, what else is possible? What else is possible? You have just opened your mind. You have just expanded so that the universe that does have your back can come in to support you. So that the universe that is absolutely always conspiring for your good now has a place to come in and bring that good. Because your good is just like that sign on 7th Street and Rose Lane. I've been passing it. I don't know how many times I've passed that sign and didn't see it. Your good, your health, your wholeness, your love, your prosperity, your deeper connection with God, whatever it is that you're wanting, it's already here. What else is possible opens you up to receive that. And then, if you really kind of are stuck, you want to put this phrase on steroids and use another phrase, which I have used many times to create many miracles, and I will not. I've told the Miraculous building purchasing many, many times, so I won't share that this morning. But the phrase is not only what else is possible, but what would I do if I didn't think the what is was impossible? Or let me rephrase that. What would I do if I thought there was another possibility? What would I do if I thought there was another possibility? You will be guided to something, I promise, and your job is to take action. That is your job, to take action. So that's our M&M, our miracle mindset number 1. Number 2 today is the idea that, and this is in Pam Grout's book. These come out of her book. This one is, there's a phrase that we often use. I've used it, I've heard it used, and I just want to invite us not to use it. And it is the phrase that says, it's difficult. It's hard. Whether that we're and I'm going to quote Pam Grout here. She says, hard is a 4-letter word that is one of the most dangerous words in the English language. It's especially damning when combined with something you want to accomplish, such as losing weight, changing your thinking, attracting money, or getting a hot date. So I had a person at first service say, I'm going to apply this to getting that hot date. It's not hard to get a hot date. It's easy. In fact, it's a piece of cake. That's our phrase. It's a piece of cake. Let me hear it better. It's a piece of cake. One more time. It's a piece of cake. That's it. That's it. When you believe it's a piece of cake to do whatever it is, then you are living from the turning point of view that says, once I've done what I'm called to do, then the universe rushes in to do the rest. That's what the piece of cake attitude helps you, opens up for you to have that experience, for you to live that turning point view. So I want you to take your eraser and erase from your vocabulary, whether it's out of your mouth or in between your ears, that it's hard, it's difficult, and so you're going to stand at the portal of your mind, and when you hear yourself wanting to say that, or it's in your brain, you're going to say, oh, no it isn't, it's a piece of cake. Piece of cake. That just brings up all sorts of yummy thoughts for me. Went to one wedding reception and one wedding this weekend, and cake. Yes, it was good. It was good. All right, number three, and our final one. I saved the final, this one for the last because I think that's the last. We get this when we get it all. We often think, and I've heard us say it, that I'm all alone in this. I'm on my own. Maybe I'm single, don't even have a partner, don't have as many friends as I'd like. I'm all alone. That's a statement that we make. And when we say I'm all alone, we create aloneness. Here's our miracle mindset that says, I'm connected to everything. I'm connected to everything. Ernest Holmes in the textbook says that if you need a piece of information that is known by one person who lives in the farthest land away from you, if you absolutely have faith that you will get that information, you will get it. Because you are connected to everything. You are connected to one presence, one power, one life, one intelligence, one love that lives and moves and has its being as all of us. Ernest Holmes speaks about the multiplicity within the one. We're individualized expressions of God, but we are connected to each other through and as the divine. We say we have faith in that. We say we believe that we're connected, and yet we don't live it so much. In the passage that I read from our Science of Mind textbook, at the beginning of the service, Ernest Holmes gives us the formula for connecting. He said there's a place in us when we come to a realization that we dig deep and we go with reckless abandonment into the whole, that we will experience miracles because we no longer experience separation. We no longer feel apart. We feel part of the one. What I didn't read out of that passage that I want to share now is the how to do it. He tells us how to do it. He says, and I'll read we want to move to, there is a sense of the oneness of all life, so it so enters our being that there is no sense of otherness. It is here that the mentality performs seeming miracles because there is nothing to hinder the whole from coming through. That's what I read already. And he says we can do this only by dwelling upon the immensity of life, dwelling upon. In our meditation, in our prayer, in our walks, in our taking a shower, wherever we are, our mind wants to What if we dwell upon the immensity of life? And there's an and here. The and is really important because it's two things. Dwell on two things. The immensity of life and the fact that as vast, as immense, as limitless as it is, the whole of it is brought to one point in our own consciousness. So as vast as it is brought home here. And that's what you want to dwell on. Contemplate that. Think about that. Pray about that. Be with that. That moves us to a feeling and an experience of connection. And when we have that experience and feeling of connection, then those miracles have to happen because we are connected consciously. We're always connected, but we are connected consciously to the whole. So I'm going to tell you a little miracle story. There was a priest, a rabbi, and a religious science minister. And they decided to go fishing. And so they got a little boat, and they went out onto the lake, and they were fishing and having a great glorious morning. It's great fun. And then they realize it's noon, and they're starting to get very hungry. And they have left their lunch bags on the shore. The priest jumps out of the boat, says no worries, jumps out of the boat and scurries across the water to the shore, picks up his lunch bag, scurries back across the water, and gets in the boat. And the religious science minister says, well, that's great that you went to get your lunch, but you didn't get ours. So she couldn't resist it. So she gets out of the boat, scurries across the water, gets both lunches, hers and the rabbi's, comes back, gets in the boat. The rabbi's jaw has dropped, and the rabbi's like, I'm not hungry anymore. I just want to know what just happened. What happened here? The priest kind of leans over to the religious science minister and says, do you think we should tell him about the rocks? Oh, wait, there's more. I love a dual punchline joke. The religious science minister leans back to the priest and says, rocks? What rocks? That was good, Dave. I needed that. When we bring our turning point views into our lives by having these mindsets of miracles, we will reach that tipping point. And when we reach that tipping point and we tip over, this is where we live. We live in a place where everything is a miracle. Everything is, we see it as God in expression, where everything is holy We realize that we are deeply and completely a part of that. So let's close this out, bring this together in prayer. There is one presence and one power that is life itself, that we call the universe, we call energy, we call it God. It doesn't really matter what we call it. It is the source of all creation. It is the process of creation, and it is the created. It is all God. And that is a miracle. Because that is how life is. That is what life is. And that is what life does. Each of us a part of it. A unique, individualized, perfect part of it. Expressing the divine through and as us. Being God in form. I speak my word here for each of us this morning, knowing that God's perfect law has perfect hearing, and accepting for myself and for anyone who is open to these words that all it takes is a shift, a slight shift, to open ourselves up to the divine flow of good. All it takes is our accepting the presence and power of God in, through, and as all things. And I accept that for myself and for each of us here today. All it takes is the accepting that the universe has our back, is conspiring for our good. And when we do the work, all the universe runs to support us. And I accept that for myself and for anyone this morning who chooses to accept that as well. All it takes is knowing how creative we are and choosing to use that creativity to bring forth good for not only ourselves but for others. And all it takes is to know that we are worthy, we are worthy, we are worthy of that good. And not only are we worthy, so is everyone else. And I accept this for myself and for each and every one of us. And I know that as we do, as we live from these places, life becomes the miracle. We realize that we are the miracle, that it is all God, and that it is all sacred, and it is all holy. And for this, I am deeply, deeply grateful. And I release this word now into that perfect law, and simply let it go, and call it good. And together let us say, and so it is.
When I was a girlish week, on Sunday we would go to church and pay attention to the priest, and he would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday